Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marina Marco Amelli. I know a few of you on here, but for those of you who I don't know and you don't know me, I am the Policy and Operations Director for AQE. Hey, Lizzie, I don't know if you can, you're not the host anymore, right? I'm the only one here.
I'm a co-host.
Oh, can you? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that somebody's admitting people.
I am.
Okay, perfect. So, as I said, I work for AQE. I've worked for AQE for now, what year is this? 2020. May will be my 14th year anniversary with the Alliance for Quality Education. So it's been a moment. And I'm very happy that we're here tonight to talk about childcare. It's very near and dear in my heart. I've worked on this issue for a long time, and I'm hoping that this year will be really big for us to achieve a win. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we can get the show going. Share. Okay. There we go. Oh. So childcare, all of you that I cannot necessarily see the chat or see your facial expressions. So please, if you have some question, if you have questions or anything that you want to say, just unmute and let me know, or stop me if there's something that's wrong or something that you need to say. Childcare for all, or universal childcare, is part of the Justice Agenda Citizen Action launched a couple of weeks ago, and which is going to have its lobby day on February 16th. That's 2 weeks from now. Sorry, time is a little bit of a blur. How does quality childcare benefit a community? That is actually a question that if you all have an answer to and you want to just shout it out or put it in the chat, I would love to hear your views on that, because there are many ways that childcare benefits a community. You all know?
So moms,
it sure would have made a big, sorry, go ahead.
So parents can work?
Right. Anyone else?
I was going to say it sure would have made a big difference for me as a single parent. You know, just to be able to go to the grocery store, you know, even if like, first of all, I could not afford childcare and work, you know, and so, but like to be able to take a shower, go to the grocery store, just live once in a while, even anything, because, you know, it's like I was tied to the changing table, tied to the changing table. Oh, Lord, I felt like I was dying.
You were not the only one. So I will say my babies were in childcare since they were 12 weeks old. And there are many, many benefits of quality childcare in a community. First one is that, in fact, parents can go to work, and which means they can bring higher wages in a community, in their families, and bring more investment back in the community. Did you know that childcare, investment in childcare, is one of the only economic development strategies that have a very high return on investment? They can generate economic activity up to for every dollar investment. That's a very different way of saying it. For every dollar invested, we can get a return of $7.30 back. There isn't really much that gives you that return on investment. And that is in the form of more revenue from taxes, more movement because you're earning more, so you can buy more, and because more productivity in a community means more prosperity. So higher taxes, we also know that taxes actually generate investment back in the community, right? The form of services, schools, roads, and all that fun stuff. And of course, attracts benefits of childcare, quality childcare in a community, attract people in homeowners to set roots, and that increases property values in and of itself. Most of the time, I don't know if you all heard people talk about it this way, but people move to places where there's good schools, where there are good services, and childcare is part of that whole system. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Oops. There you go. Helps parents work more and miss fewer days of work, pursue more education, and there are benefits for children themselves, right? Because children who attend quality childcare programs, and that is any kind of program, right? And forgive me for if you can hear my son yelling in the back, fighting with his father. My apologies. Childcare is a real issue here. Because children actually start school ready to be socially to socialize with other children, know how to be able to how to behave in a more structured setting, which includes, simple things like walking in a line or listening to directions from other adults, taking turns, that fun stuff. They learn that from childcare programs, centers, and family-based programs, and that typically results in better achievement at school. Kids who have gone to childcare programs have lower retention rates, so they don't have to repeat classes, grades, and they have better results, achievement results. And of course, because they do better at school, because children do better at school, they are able to graduate at higher rates. And because they're able to graduate with higher rates, they're able to go to college and get a college education, which enables them to have higher paying jobs. Kids who have gone to quality childcare programs and pre-K here have fewer interactions with the carceral system. And because at the end of the day, because they're able to get better paying jobs, there is less likelihood of being trapped in poverty, which also makes them less likely to be on government assistance programs. Not that the government assistance programs are a bad thing to be in, but it is one of the things that they have found that decreases the likelihood of being on. That long-term studies have found that. Oops. Oh my goodness, where am I? There we go. Recently, last fall, we, AQE, and Senator Brisport did a childcare tour across the state. This childcare tour basically had us going from childcare program to childcare program. We saw centers, we saw family-based programs, we saw group family-based programs, and outdoor programs, and in every part of the state. We went to Long Island, to all 5 boroughs in New York City, to the Hudson Valley, the Capital Region, the North Country, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, And I think the only place we weren't able to, no, we did go to Broome County. We did go to the southern tier, the northern part of the southern tier. And that childcare tour was able to show us all the problems that we knew existed with the childcare system. Problems that were made worse by COVID, by the pandemic, but were there long before. So, and at every stop of that tour, in the evening, we had a Zoom community conversation. So we had 10 community conversations, and basically those conversations yielded this result right here in this slide. That childcare is too expensive. Means testing harms low and middle income families, and means testing is basically having to prove that you don't make enough, or that you make so little income that you qualify for free childcare, or that you're working enough hours to qualify for free childcare, but not too many to give you enough income, right? That you are in immigration status, and that you're able to navigate the system, to fill out all of these forms to qualify your child for free childcare. Means testing is that, and it harms low and middle income families because it is a dehumanizing process to be able to become eligible for the free subsidy. It also creates problems for agencies, for programs, and for people who provide childcare and teach in childcare programs, because because there are so many caveats for families to continue to be eligible to receive the free childcare, that if they do not always meet those criteria, they get kicked out of the program. But that also means that the providers of the programs lose the income for that child. You lose a subsidy because the family gets the money to pay for the tuition, but that tuition goes to the program. So, and if they're not there, then they don't get paid. The majority of New Yorkers live in childcare deserts, which means that there are either no or very, very few options for childcare. And choices. There are many choices. New Yorkers don't have many choices for childcare programs. We have centers, we have group family programs, and we have family-based programs, and what they call legally exempt. Somebody want to say something? Okay. So, and those types of programs do not exist everywhere. And some may be qualified to get the subsidy from the county and the state, but some others do not. So you cannot, as a family, as a parent, have free choice of where to send your child, where you want to send your child, and where to leave them there, where you feel comfortable doing that. So there is all of these problems that we knew existed and continue to be perpetuated by the pandemic. Many providers, many program directors, and teachers testified to every Wednesday that they didn't make enough and were themselves on public assistance programs. They testified that they had to max out their credit cards to pay for supplies and to get cash to pay their employees because they didn't have enough, or to live because they chose to pay their teachers and not themselves. And of course, the pandemic hit so hard that many programs had to shut down. We lost many programs during the pandemic, which caused us to lose a big chunk of the workforce that was already hard to find. And of course, I don't know how many of you have used PreK, but for your children, but the childcare teachers, a teacher that teaches a 3-year-old in a childcare setting gets paid about a third of what a kindergarten teacher gets paid. And they may have the same credentials, which perpetuates inequities because most teachers and providers in childcare are women and are women of color. So that sends a really clear signal to the people, that to the teachers and the providers in childcare, that we do not believe that they are worthy, or they're not the same. They're treated very, very differently than their K-12 counterparts. We are lacking a lot of physical space for programs. We need more. Our babies and our toddlers are oftentimes an afterthought in developing quality programs and making sure that we understand how they learn, and what we do actually helps them learn afterwards, so we don't invest in them. And that this system needs an overhaul now. Band-aids are not going to work anymore. So here's a snapshot of what quality early childhood education looks like. Teachers have ongoing support. There is meaningful family engagements, small groups, small class sizes, well-prepared teachers, curricula that are research-based, and assessments that actually can tell us whether children are doing well. And we're not talking about standardized testing like we do in K-12, right? We are talking about assessments that let us know what each child needs for their social and emotional well-being, not whether or not they know their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s, right? And if they can sit tight for just for all day. These are all components of quality in early childhood settings. Oops. So now, I don't know if you guessed it, but we do not have universal childcare in New York State. That is where we need to get. And through a lot of conversation and looking and checking into our values, a whole bunch of people, Citizen Action members and staff included, came up with these principles and what universal childcare is. And it basically means that every family in New York State, regardless of income, work status, or immigration status, can have access to free quality childcare for their children. And it's a system that compensates teachers fairly, not just for living wages, right? But to thriving wages. With the professional development services that every other professional receives, so that they provide this nurturing and the highest quality teaching to children. Kids, at the end of the day, kids are the ones that benefit from a well educated and developed workforce. They receive the best learning, and they're the ones, theirs and the families, and then the communities are the ones that benefit the most. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, but stop me if this is too much. Just one note about PreK. I don't know if you all heard it. Sometimes people say, "Oh, PreK takes away from our childcare business." It is a false choice. Pre-K and childcare are part of the same continuum, just like K-12 education is. So we need both. We need both to be free and accessible to our families and our communities. We are not choosing between first and second grade. Why are we choosing between toddler education and preschool education? Right? All right. And why do we think childcare is so expensive? Do you know how much you pay, by the way? Does anyone know? Shout it out if you know how much you can pay for a year for an infant or toddler care.
It was so much. We couldn't really.
It is as much as $21,000 per year. It's like CUNY or SUNY. It's like sending your child to college when they are 2. And I remember 10 years ago when my baby was baby, we used to pay $275 a week for infant care. So
These are little infants. That's it. This is, you know, I don't understand how people don't get. They're so precious, and it takes so much constant attention. They should
right.
be compensated. And honestly, I could not. There was no way I could have afforded that. So I don't understand. You know, why they're struggling like this. We got to change this. We got to get this passed.
Right. So let's get through this so you guys can practice on how to change people's minds. I think that's the whole goal here. Just a couple of other things that I want to make sure that you all get. We talked about this affecting women more than anyone else. The gender employment gap is real. We lost the labor force lost 57%. It's become at 57%. We lost so many women from the workforce during this pandemic. So we lost half of of the workforce, of women's labor force since 1988. It's at the lowest that it's ever been, because women more often make the decision to stop working to care for children. A labor, I might say, that is uncompensated when you're at home, right? When you're not working and you're a mom, nobody compensates that, right? And that's costing our economy a great deal. Universal childcare is necessary. I think we can all agree on that. And the funding is there. Did you all hear the budget director say that we have $6.4 billion in surplus this year? Let me say it again. 6.4 billion in surplus this year. That means that we have more money that we have expected, and we don't have to worry about cuts to services. Instead, he suggested that we put 3 billion away for the rainy day fund. I don't know if he noticed, but we are in a storm. This pandemic is an ongoing storm for our communities, and we need to make investments. That's what we need this year. We need $5 billion to make sure, just this year, to make sure that more families than ever before have access to free quality childcare, and we overhaul a system to make it free for everyone. Attract more teachers and program providers, and make sure that we expand so that we can accommodate and care for more children. So this is a reiteration of that. Childcare, we need $5 billion in the budget, in the final budget, which would mean laying the path for universal childcare that is free statewide, regardless of income or immigration status or work status, creates funding streams to support programs by raising wages, by building physical infrastructure and hiring new teachers, and gives childcare providers, the people who provide the programs, enough funding based on the actual cost of the service they provide, not based on what they're currently getting, which is called the market rate, which does not cover the cost of care. Let's get ready. I'm gonna stop sharing. This is where we're at right now. We are at a point where we need to decide how we're going to invest this money that we have in surplus, in what we're going to invest it. Universal childcare can be attainable, not completely this year, let's be honest, but we can get a really huge down payment this year to get us to the system that we want to have. Lizzie, I think you're up. Unless there are questions on the slides that I'm happy to answer.
Yay. Thank you, Marina, for that powerful presentation. So I think right now we're going to actually all practice lobbying and talking about childcare as if we were lobbying our legislators. So we're going to go into breakout groups.